All right. So first question: how did the program get started? How did this all begin? How did we get an esports program going at Searcy High School? Well, about 5 years ago, this company called Play Versus came to Arkansas, and they also went to a few other states. And when they went to Arkansas, they actually went to one of the principal meetings and talked to a bunch of different principals from all over the state all at once. And they tried to get it just going all at once, and a lot of schools joined. Back then, they only had three games. They had Rocket League, League of Legends, and Smite. And that was the only three games you could play. And in fact, Smite did not have enough schools join to have its own state championship. So the only state championships that were competed for in that first semester was Rocket League and League of Legends. And in fact, if you look behind me, one of the League of Legends trophies from that first season, we got runner-up that first season. We haven't made it back to the championship for League of Legends, but we did get runner-up that first season that they had esports, and there were only two titles that were being competed for. How did our YouTube channel begin? So I'm a really big proponent of us streaming and on Twitch and YouTube, and trying to get as much footage out there as possible. And you see this picture of this really old cruddy laptop here. When we first started streaming, I was the one hooking this laptop up. It could barely download League of Legends, and I would stream from OBS and have League of Legends playing on this really funky old laptop, and it worked. I mean, we were streaming, and we were probably about the first school doing it. In fact, there's not very many schools, at least in our state, that have been doing it, and I'm always trying to encourage more and more schools to stream as many games as they can and stuff. But yeah, it doesn't take a lot of technology. I'll talk about what you do and don't need later on, but yeah, this funky old laptop, and that very first video we ever had was just a scrimmage video I was testing out to see if it'd work, and we had our A team and B team playing a 4v4 League of Legends practice match, and that was it. Since then, we've got a lot more videos and a lot more views. It's slowly but steadily been growing. So, what's great about esports? Why should we care about esports? What's important about it? One thing I'll say first of all is that I am a very big proponent of any type of friendly competition in schools, whether it be regular sports, band, chess club, anything like that. And one thing that esports does that a lot of regular sports don't is they allow anybody to compete. It is a lot more open on who can compete, and it's a lot more open on who we let in and stuff too. It's not this cliques and friend groups and stuff as bad as you see in some of the other clubs, and that's one thing I always thought was great about it. It's just it's open to everybody, and I think it's amazing. It's a really great experience. It's teamwork. It's all that stuff. I just think that's a amazing thing. All right, give me just a second. I want to make sure that everything's working right before I move on to the next question. All right, so anyway, so that was question 3. All right, so here's a question I get a lot. I've even had some other schools email me about this, and some people will comment on our videos from time to time saying, Man, I really wish my school offered esports whenever I was in there, or I wish it offered it now and stuff like that. Here's what you do if you want esports offered at your school. The number one thing is go find a teacher. Who you like. Pick your favorite teacher and guilt them into being a club sponsor for it. That's it. That's the number one thing you need to do. Yeah, it's a bit more complicated than that, depending on what games you want to play and stuff. But I'm telling everybody right now, go find their favorite teacher and guilt them into offering esports, because it actually now doesn't cost the school anything. A lot of people have their own equipment and everything. There's really no reason why every school in America shouldn't be offering esports now. Yeah, that's what you need to do. So let's say your school does offer it now. How do you join? So there's a lot of different companies that do it. I'm not trying to sell anybody on this one company. It's just what my state does. From the state of Arkansas, you go to Arkansas Activities Association. It's PlayVersus is the name of the website. You type in playversus.com. If your school has it, you can join right then. They give you an account, and it is completely free. Let me say that again. It is completely free to do this. Your school does not have to pay anything to have an esports program. It used to cost quite a bit, actually. It used to be about $3,000 a year for the largest program, and our school paid for it. I'm glad that they did, because I think it's a great program. But now it's completely free, so there's really no reason why anybody can't go out there and join this on their own. All right, so yeah, and there are other programs if you want to do other games and stuff like that. Sometimes it might require a little bit more organization, but with this program, they've already got a lot of stuff off the ground and stuff. So, they've already got it set up with their own UI and everything, and they've got their own games they offer. These are the games that are currently being offered. You can play League of Legends, Splatoon 3, Smash Bros. Ultimate, NBA 2K, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Rocket League, Madden, and Hearthstone. And these are all offered with their own leagues on the website. Not every one of these have their own state league, but in the state of Arkansas at least, most of these are actually compete in their own state championship. Your state might vary, and again, as more and more teams join, this will grow bigger and bigger. But there's also a couple games that have been offered in the past that either aren't anymore, or a couple games that your state might not allow. For example, a couple games that are available in Arkansas are not available in Arkansas, but are offered elsewhere. Overwatch 2 and Fortnite. State of Arkansas is really against games like that. We'll come back to that in a minute, but yeah. At any point, if you have any questions, just let me know, because I've got my own 25 questions, but if there's anything I see during the stream that y'all want to ask me, just let me know. There are some games that used to be offered that just weren't popular enough. Games that used to be offered were Smite, as I mentioned at the beginning, that was offered at the very beginning, and I want to say maybe 8 schools from Arkansas ever signed up for it. FIFA was offered at one time too, and there just weren't enough schools signing up for it. I think that might have partially been poor planning on PlayVersus' part, because they actually axed the last season of FIFA was when high schools were having soccer season, and a lot of soccer players would play FIFA in the off season. So I kind of think that might have hurt it a little bit. There's a ton of different games that people ask, well, why isn't this offered? Why can't we play this instead? And so I kind of grouped these into 3 different categories of okay, why aren't these played? This is going to differ by state, but like I said, some states do allow Overwatch 2, but in my state, they are super against any first-person shooters. Funny little story about that is that while a a lot of these states in the South are super against first-person shooters, FPS. At the same time, some of these states actually have competitive shooting at the high school level, which is kind of crazy to me. So like they will let them use real shooting, but they can't do it in a video game. I don't get the logic behind that, but that's just the way it is. And I can pretty much say for sure the state that I'm in, and probably most of the states in the South, will not allow most of these games to ever compete for a state title, at least in the high school level, unfortunately. I also get a lot of questions about single player games, which I know you could probably do like time trial competitions and stuff like that. But I mean, I think the answer there should be kind of obvious that single player games, it's not going to really be a competition in the same way that we can actually get on some of these competitive games. So last, that brings me to some games that very potentially might get added at one point or another. I see no reason why Playversus might not eventually add Street Fighter 6 or Pokemon Unite or any other game like that. Honestly, I'm really surprised Pokemon Unite wasn't added already, because at one point they were adding a new Switch title every semester. And it went Smash Brothers, and then Mario Kart, and then Splatoon 3, and then we thought the next semester was going to be Pokemon Unite, and they never added it. I don't know why. But one way to get these added is to, contact Playversus, the company in charge, try to get them, riled up about it, tell them how badly you want to play these games competitively. There are a few things that definitely help a game out, might make it more likely to get added. For example, if a game has if a game has team play like Pokemon Unite, that's going to look better from Playversus standpoint. They really want team games. Like I said before, a lot of FPS games don't do as well. Hopefully, one or both of these games might eventually be offered. We'll just have to wait and see. So, what equipment do you need if you are starting a esports program? If you're trying to get your school into this, well, that depends pretty heavily on what games you're going to play. For example, if you're playing League of Legends, you need a PC. If you're playing Smash, Mario Kart, or Splatoon 3, you're going to need a Switch. You're going to need multiple Switches for Mario Kart and Splatoon 3. Starting next semester, to compete in Madden or NBA 2K, you're going to have to play on the PS5. And I know that's going to be a big problem for a lot of schools, because you got to go out and buy a PS5. They're still pretty expensive and stuff. They aren't that hard to get yet. They aren't that hard to get anymore. I will say we just got 2 for our school, so hopefully next semester we'll have some Madden and NBA 2K players. Rocket League can be played on any console or PC. I honestly would recommend playing on PC. Because you can get a really high-end PC and not have any of the problems that you might have with consoles. Hearthstone can be played on PC. What am I forgetting? Is that everything? Yeah, I think that's all. So it depends on which game you're going to play. Now, that said, what would I personally recommend? Well, if your school is just starting out and you're wanting to create your own, program for esports, I would recommend getting one Nintendo Switch at the beginning, or having one player bring his own Nintendo Switch to school every game day. That's what I would recommend, because you need that to start a game of Smash, and Smash is by far the most popular game that we compete in. There are a lot of schools that want to do that. I want to say there's like 150 or more different teams currently in my state alone. So that's where I would start. Uh, Mario Kart, you can compete with 2 Nintendo Switches if you're doing split screen. You got to have a team of 4. Um, Splatoon, you're going to need 4 Nintendo Switches, so that's going to hurt a lot of schools. But let's say your school has no budget, the students don't have their own consoles or anything like that. Pretty much every school is going to have some computers, and the old computers probably are going to struggle with Rocket League, but if you have enough people who want to play, they will play Hearthstone and League of Legends just fine, even on a lot of these older computers. It doesn't really require that high of specs to play those. So if your school really has zero budget, that's where you could start. So why do we stream our games? Why am I so big on streaming games? Why do I think a lot more schools should do it? Well, I think it's going to get your name out there, get you recognized more, let your program get bigger. If you are one of those small schools who has no budget for esports, start making some waves in a good way, and then maybe they might start throwing some more funding your way. In fact, the second time we made it to a state championship, that's actually when our funding started to increase exponentially. It just went up a lot more than it ever was before. We went from, you saw that old little cruddy laptop I showed earlier, streaming on that, to having some real good equipment. The other thing is, when you record your games and you stream your games, you have footage to look back on. And it's also a way for, parents to watch. I've had students tell me before, where I've had to cut streams early because, emergency reasons or whatever, and then I get a message from a mom or a dad saying, "Oh man, I was watching that, I wanted to see how so-and-so was doing." Yeah. So I think there's tons of reasons too. I really wish we could get to a point where most schools stream their games. Right now in my state, I want to say there's about 5 schools that are consistent about it. And yeah, I really want it to grow. If you are wanting to do Nintendo Switch streams, that's going to be a little bit harder to stream. Hold on. I never fully answered this question. I need to go back. How do we stream our games? OBS Studios is all you need to stream a game that is on the computer. You download OBS on the computer. You can stream it straight from the computer. Yeah, there's a lot more stuff you could use, but that's all you need. This works for League of Legends. This works for Hearthstone. It can work for Rocket League. That's all you need. No extra cost or anything. That's how you can stream. You set up a YouTube account or a Twitch account or whatever. Now for the Nintendo Switch streams, this is a little bit more complicated because you're going to need some type of graphic card to stream the Nintendo Switch streams. But we use the Elgato capture card. You see a picture of it there. I think it works great. I've never had any problems out of it. And this is actually where we get most of our views, is from our Nintendo Switch games. It seems like 75-80% of our views come from Nintendo Switch games that we stream, Smash Brothers and Mario Kart especially. And this thing costs, I don't know, a little over $100. It works great. You can hook it up to OBS on the computer. Never had any problems with it. Now, let's say you want to actually do well on your streams. You want your streams to be really popular. You want to have some success. Here's a couple other things I would recommend. One, I have a Blue Yeti microphone. It looks kind of like the one shown there that I'm currently speaking on. It doesn't have to be that type of microphone, but you probably want to spend at least $50 on a better microphone so that it sounds a little bit better when you have people commentating. And on that same note, find high schoolers who are willing to commentate, willing to do stuff like that. Other things that you can get screen recorders for a lot cheaper than you can actual capture cards that stream. Sometimes you can get those for less than $50. A lot of the games that I've recorded for, especially like the B and C team games that I might not be streaming at the moment, I might record them on one of those cheaper capture cards and upload it later. So that's some of the things I would recommend. Right now I'm also using just a fairly basic 1080 webcam. I want to say it was probably like $40. Things like that make it better. All right, so I kind of already answered this one earlier, and I'll just repeat it. Why stream? I think we should, encourage more video of our players competing, winning, showing their successes. It allows parents to watch. And yes, certain games it does allow other schools to watch it, kind of get a better competitive edge, you could argue. But it also, if you don't want to, show all the videos right then, you want to record them for later, you've got footage for your own players to watch. In fact, there are many times where I've recorded games of an opponent that maybe our B or C team will play, and then later on in the season our A team will be playing them, and then I'll show them, okay, hey, here's who you're going to play. Watch the footage of this team. Get ready to know their weaknesses and stuff like that. Study up on that stuff if you really want to win. And like I mentioned earlier, I had parents who've gotten upset whenever a stream ended early and they didn't get to see how their kid did or things like that. What are my favorite games that we offer? Well, I'd have to say my two games that I play the most out of all of them offered in esports are Smash Brothers and Mario Kart 8. I love both those games. These are probably two of the most common games that I'm just going to pick up if I'm bored at home and have a little free time. I'll probably just pick one or the other up, play a little bit. I really like both these. One of my favorite games in general. I am pretty big on a lot of those old timing RPGs. Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door just released today, and I played it for like 20 minutes after midnight last night, and I was too tired to keep playing. As soon as I get home, I'm going to get back on that. I'm probably going to have that game beaten before the end of the weekend, and then I'll probably restart another file and play it again. I really enjoy that game. Another game I just play a ton of is Stardew Valley. I know that's kind of lame, but me being as busy as I am all the time, it's just casual fun that doesn't really require much effort on my part. So if I'm not playing like Smash Brothers or Mario Kart, I would say Stardew Valley is probably the third most likely game I'd play. And starting today, Paper Mario is probably going to be the most common game I'm playing. How many players do we have in all? That's kind of hard to answer exactly, but I'd say it's probably about 40. And this picture does not have everybody. This is probably about 25 of our 40-something players. I don't believe we've shrunk a single semester since we've started. It seems like every semester we have more. And I'm hoping that same thing happens next semester. This is the largest group photo I've ever got together. I really love it. But it's really hard to get everybody together because everybody competes on different days, and we never have a day where just every single person is in the esports lab. I don't think we could fit everybody in here. It'd be way too crowded. What games are we the best at? What games, if we're going to win another state championship, and we have won a state championship, what will we win our next state championship in? Honestly, if I had to pick one game right now, some people are going to hate to hear this, but right now the one game we're probably best at is Rocket League. If we win a state championship next year, that's probably the most likely candidate. I would say second is Mario Kart, and third is Smash Brothers. We've got pretty good teams. I would say definitely in the top 10 for all three of those. Um, we had a pretty good season this year. We had two teams make it to the final eight. I was really hoping to make it to the final four. Well, I'll talk more about what the championship's like in a little bit, but we didn't quite make it. Both teams that made it to the final eight ended up losing. Best moments in esports. I'll talk more about the state championship in a minute, but that's one of them. Another one, this was from when we got runner-up for Smash, and the thing that was particularly great about that was we actually had two of the four teams in the Final Four, and they got to compete each other, and that was just a lot of fun because we knew no matter what, one of them was going to the state championship, so it was like not a lot of pressure or anything. It was just like we're going to state, we know it, and we can relax this game and just kind of have fun and let A team beat B team and all that. As far as I know, I think there are only 3 schools that have ever had 2 teams make it to the Final Four and play each other. There's us, Searcy, there's Fort Smith Northside, and there's Bentonville High School. I don't think any other schools ever managed to send 2 teams to the Final Four. So it is a unique honor, and it was a really fun experience when it happened. A lot of my students probably don't know I did this because it was 2 years ago now, but I did dye my hair. It was right around the time we were going to state championship, maybe a little bit before. I had actually done it because we had made it to the state championship the semester before, and the next semester was the one that we actually won, kind of because we'd made it to state or because we were going to state again, is why I dyed it. And I let them pick what colors, and I had to go with the pink and blue because it was kind of the Joy-Con colors, like for the Nintendo Switch. It was a lot of fun. It was actually like the biggest stream I'd ever done. I think it had like, I want to say at one point it had like over 50 people viewing at one time. And yeah, now you can see my hair has grown out a lot longer. Yeah, my hair's grown out a lot longer. Since then, I just kind of like it long now, which brings up the next question. Would I dye it again? Probably so. If we make it to state again, definitely if we win state, I will guarantee I'll dye my hair again if we win state again. Like I said, that could happen in Mario Kart, but I would say the most likely place we'd win state in right now is probably Rocket League. I believe going into next semester we have 2 Grand Champion players, and you pretty much need 2 or 3 Grand Champion Rocket League players to win state. And so maybe next year will be our year to do it. What are the state championships like? I mentioned earlier, one of my favorite things that ever happened, another one of my favorite experiences was going to the state championship. They are in person. Now they play the Final Four in person. And there's quite a few people there. I mean, maybe not as much as like, a football championship or something, but there was a few hundred people at a lot of these championships now watching them. Probably, I think as high as 300-400 people now go to them. And when we were going, I was so nervous because it was the state championship and I didn't know how we were going to end up doing. I thought we were going to win, and we ended up winning, but I think I was really, really stressed out that I couldn't really enjoy it until the point that it was for Mario Kart, that we got a big enough lead in Mario Kart that I knew the other team couldn't catch up. And then it was like all the stress went away, and it was just, there was a lot of players there cheering us on. I brought as many people as the school would let me and stuff, and it was really fun. Yeah. What are some of the biggest problems we've dealt with? Okay, I could make a whole nother video just on problems that Play Versus the company has had, other schools have caused. I don't want to make this video too long. I don't want to spend too long on this question, so I'll make it kind of short here. But here's just a couple examples. Schools cheating, schools lying about things. For example, we had 2 schools in a 2-week period each play a player that wasn't supposed to play, which ended up causing us to lose a game. But I had caught it and I knew what they were doing, so I called the coaches both times. And luckily, in both cases, both coaches ended up fixing it. They ended up correcting the issue. In one case, the coach just changed it to a loss for them. In the other case, we replayed with the correct player that we were supposed to be playing. It's really stressful to think about, like, what do we do if the coach wasn't honest, if some of the schools wanted to cheat. And the only good thing I can say now is that the Final Four is in person. So if a school is cheating, that can only get them to the Final Four. It's not going to win them a championship. It's not going to even get them runner-up anymore. But it is a big problem that we've had trouble figuring out how to solve. One thing that might eventually solve it is, I mentioned streaming earlier. Maybe we can get to a point where, schools have to stream. They have to show their players playing so that we know that no cheating is going on and stuff like that. Another thing I'll mention with problems, and again, I could make a whole separate video just talking about some of the negative issues, but I will say the company in charge, Play Versus, who does a lot of this stuff, they have fixed 90% of all the major problems they've ever had. Some of them went on for way, way too long, but they eventually have gotten around to fixing everything. And now that they're free and people aren't paying for it anymore, it's just any school can join. I'd say it's gotten a lot better. Anyway, that is all the questions that I had set up here. If there's no specific questions, okay, so one question I saw here, somebody asked me about Play Versus, how to advocate for a game. I'm going to try to link that in the video description. I'll also post it on the Discord for my players that are watching this. Because I know there is a special place for things like that. So hopefully maybe we can get that submitted and stuff like that. I know that Play Versus is constantly actively reaching out to all these different companies and stuff, trying to get them to allow their game to be played competitively in high schools and stuff. It just really comes down to whether the company wants to work with Play Versus and several other factors like that. One thing I'll say is I never thought Nintendo would be okay with competitive high school playing Smash, Mario Kart, Splatoon 3, just because historically they just haven't had the best track record of working with people like that. But yeah, it's been a pretty big success with Nintendo so far. Anybody else have any questions on anything at the moment? If there's not any more questions, I think I'm just gonna skim through and make sure there's nothing else I want to mention. Let me see. I guess I'll just end on, our next season is going to start in September, so we might have a kind of a gap here for a while where I'm not streaming a lot. But I will probably try to do some small tournaments for my players over the summer if anybody wants to, get in on that. and we'll see how that goes. See what I can get going. Maybe have a one-on-one Rocket League tournament or a one-on-one Smash Bros tournament or something like that, depending on where the interest is. If I can get people interested, maybe even a one-on-one League of Legends tournament. And that's probably the main thing I'll be streaming on here over the summer, and it probably won't be nearly as often as we have been. But yeah, I think that's pretty much everything. Okay, so I had one question about when they would announce that they add a title. It's usually right at the end of the season. Like, so I doubt that they're going to add a title for next semester, because I probably would have heard about it by now. If not, I would have heard about it in maybe in a week or two from now at most. They don't like leaving people waiting. That said, I think NBA 2K was announced really, really late. Like, in fact, the season for NBA 2K, the first season they had, actually started like a week or two later than the other seasons, because they were slow at getting the announcement out and stuff like that. And so they had like a shortened season that very first season they did it. Yeah. But if they do announce anything, I'll definitely post it on the Discord, and I might even make an announcement video on here if there's enough interest. Anyway, I think that's everything I have to say. If there's no last minute questions, I'm going to go ahead and get off. Thank you for everybody watching. Y'all have a good one.